Never thought I'd see this, a Christian movie starring a major celebrity crush. I Still Believe tells the true story of Christian singer Jeremy Camp and his college sweetheart Melissa. Soon after they started dating, Melissa was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and while the odds weren't in her favor, Jeremy stayed with her, ready to face whatever tragedy lay ahead for both of them. After I Can Only Imagine was one of the most surprising box office hits of 2018, it made sense that directors John and Andrew Erwin would go on to bring the story behind another famous Christian song to the big screen. I Can Only Imagine was decent, and I also liked their first film, October Baby. Woodlawn could have been good, but I think it really got bogged down by too much studio interference, because there were so many implausible things in that movie that were clearly meant to pander to the audience of God's Not Dead. Overall, though, I think that the Erwin brothers do have a sense of what they're doing as filmmakers, and their latest movie reinforces those feelings of mine. I Still Believe is nothing momentous. It has a familiar story akin to many tear-jerking romances we've seen, most notably A Walk to Remember. But as this one is based on real life, such similarities can be overlooked, and from what I've read, this movie does follow the true story very closely. While KJ Appa's singing voice sounds nothing like that of the real Jeremy Camp, he and Britt Robertson bring a lot of life to these people. Having played young lovers before in A Dog's Purpose, they have good chemistry and a lot of cute moments. And something that is a major plus in a movie about Christians wrestling with doubt is that whenever Jeremy and Melissa discuss their faith, it never comes off like it's the writers talking to the audience. It just feels like it's these two people talking to each other. The subject of why God allows suffering is one that comes up quite often in faith-based movies, but here it's woven organically into the script, making it far more effective than many of those other movies that are just about reciting Bible passages day in and day out. The movie also does a good job conveying the frustrating uncertainty that people face when someone has a chance at survival but also a good chance of death. Even if you do know the story and you're already aware of how things turned out in the end for Jeremy and Melissa, you still feel for them as you see them go through all these peaks and valleys. So storytelling-wise, this movie is a decent-sized leap forward for Christian films despite not breaking any new grounds, and technically, it's a small step up. The shots are lit and framed well. There's one very nice-looking scene in a planetarium. Though there are some poor editing choices, like when Jeremy is performing for the college and he asks for prayers for Melissa, and as he sings, it keeps cutting to things that happen later, such as Melissa finding out that she's losing hair. When his performance is over, it goes to that scene again, but in detail that time, so it just would have made sense to show everything in sequence. Like many other Christian films, it also has a problem with occasionally getting overdramatic, like the score getting overbearing at times, or the shot fading to a bright white screen when someone gets some game-changing news. Now, one way that I Still Believe is a breakthrough for Christian films is that it's the first one to be presented in IMAX, and that made me wonder if there was going to be extra effort put into the sound mixing to make you feel like you're there at the concert, like with Bohemian Rhapsody. Although there's not much of a choice with theaters closed down right now, I can tell you that you would have been best off saving yourself the extra $5. The audio is mostly fine, but it doesn't have the quality needed to make it worthy of IMAX. There's a scene where Jeremy and Melissa sing a duet at a campfire, and it's a little obvious that it was pre-recorded, even though KJ Appa and Britt Robertson's voices do blend really well. For Christian filmmakers, there's still room for improvement in some technical areas, but this movie handles its story and faith-based message sensitively while refraining from preachiness, which makes it watchable even for secular audiences who are looking for a decent romantic flick. It's a good example of why I still believe that the Christian film industry is capable, and I hope to see more that are at least as good as this. Scoring on the Factor Facts, I Still Believe gets a 66%.
66%, eh? Think of that.
That's a wrap. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this review helpful. Like and share, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture. I'm Alex Pop.